Hello, so in this video I'm going to look at finding the angle such that cosine squared of that angle is equal to a fourth, and I'm looking for the solutions in the interval from 0 to 2 pi. Now before we start, because this is a squared function, I'm going to have to take the square root of both sides, and I just want to remind you about the absolute value so that when I get to it I don't have to take it aside. So if you look at, for example, x squared equals 4, when I go to solve that and I say I'm going to take the square root of both sides because I know that's a square, what happens is the question I'm actually asking is what number multiplied by itself gives me 4, right? So what number multiplied by itself is 4, and that's positive 4. So the idea is, here, a lot of people will write x and they'll go, well, the square root of 4 is 2. But the truth is it's the absolute value of x. And why is that? Because we don't know if x was positive or negative to begin with, right? Because if x was negative, when I multiply a negative 2 times a negative 2, I'll get a positive 4. Or x could be a positive 2 times a positive 2 to give me a 4. So I don't know if it was positive or negative. So I have to take the absolute value, and then when I remove the absolute value, what I do is I say plus or minus 2 on the other side. Okay? So just be careful about that, because that comes up quite often. All right, so let's take a look at this one. So here I'm looking for solving this, so I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take the square root of cosine squared of the angle, and I'm going to take the square root of a fourth. Now, here I'm going to have the absolute value of this, so absolute value of cosine of the angle, right, is equal to, now, this is really the square root of 1 over the square root of 4, which is here 1 over the square root of 4, which is 1 over 2, right? So what I have here is cosine of the angle, absolute value, is a half, okay? And now, to remove the absolute value, I'm going to have to write plus or minus on the other side, right? So we don't know if that was originally positive or negative. So now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for that angle for which the cosine of that angle is positive or negative a half. And remember, what I have to do to answer that is remember what is the underlying ratio or definition of cosine, and it is x over r. But remember, x over r, when you're on a unit circle, is really x over 1, which is just x. So what I'm asking for is, for one angle, theta is the x coordinate either positive a half or negative a half in the interval 0 to 2 pi. Right? That's what I'm looking for. The best thing at this point would be for you to not use the unit circle, but have the unit circle committed to memory so well that you could actually answer this question. So here we are. So where is it that the x is a negative a half or positive a half, right? It's here at the pi over 3's. So at pi over 3, x is positive a half. At 2 pi over 3, x is negative a half. At 4 pi over 3, x is negative a half. And at 5 pi over 3, x is positive a half. And that's as I rotate around. So I start at 0 and I'm rotating around. I'm catching the angles for which the x coordinate is positive or negative a half. And that's all the way from 0 to 2 pi. So I stop there. So my answers are pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3. All right. Thanks so much for listening.